Hi guys, and welcome back to doc.offcall. My name is Dr. Maddie, your doctor from the UK. In today's video we're going to be looking at more BAKI fight scenes, and yes, I'll be breaking down some of those that you've suggested in my community post. Now if you haven't already caught some of my other BAKI videos, I'll leave a link just up here. But before we begin, please do give this video a like, consider subscribing to the channel, and let us know down below your favourite BAKI fight over all seasons so far. Okay, so if you're ready for some broken bones, some torn muscles and low blows, let's begin. I love Doyle. I mean, who would think to conceal razor blades in their jumper collar? But what you've got to worry about with injuries like this are damage to the underlying tendons. Now, tendons attach muscles to bones and allow you to perform movements. So if you sever any of those in your hand, it would limit your ability to make a fist, and in the context of this guy, possibly put his fighting days behind him. But can tendons be repaired? Well, yes, if you came to me as a doctor, we could refer you to the hand specialists who can perform surgery to reattach tendons to bones. This was depicted pretty well in the Marvel Doctor Strange movie, who similarly damaged his hands. And in the second part of the scene, we see Doyle slash this guy's throat, and with the amount of blood we're seeing there, you'd be thinking about damage to the carotid artery and unfortunately lead to this guy's death. Rest in peace. Oh god, and what a way to go. A wooden plank to the windpipe. I mean, he's definitely going to have a fracture to the larynx at least. So I definitely expect that he's going to need surgery here to return things to their normal anatomy. And in addition to this, whilst healing, he's likely going to need to see the speech and language therapist to help rehabilitate both his swallow and his speech. Gosh, okay, and what we basically have here is a crucifixion, and he's used the cutlery to do this. Now, so long as he's avoided doing damage to the tendons and fracturing any bones, he's likely to make a full recovery from this injury. Oh goodness me, those are some impressive lacerations, and effectively he split this guy's face up into a jigsaw. But again, these injuries seem to be superficial, they don't seem to have damaged the underlying bones or muscles. A quick referral to the plastic surgery team and they could possibly stitch this up, making it look pretty good. Doppo! Oh, okay, cutting through a hand with cheese wire. Now, my only reservation with this is that you would need an incredible amount of force to be able to cut through bone in this way. I think had the cheese wire been a little higher up in the wrist joint, this injury would definitely be possible, but the real question is, can you reattach the hand? Well, yes, you can reattach an amputated limb, but time is against you, so you really need to get to the doctor as soon as possible. Now, one measure to help to preserve the tissues is by placing them on ice. I hope he's done that. Oh gosh, a barbell to the face. Now, it's impressive enough that Sikorsky can actually lift this weight in this way. I think this is actually called the Thor challenge. But anyway, getting hit in the face like this, you'd definitely be looking at facial bone fractures, and it also looks like he's lost several teeth here. Now, all of this is repairable with metal plates and dental implants. I just hope this guy has good dental plan. And there we go, Sikorsky is sterilising the wound, ready for surgery. But I bet you're asking, is urine actually sterile? Well, yes, when urine is produced in healthy kidneys, it is sterile. It's when it passes through the urethra and then passes out into the external environment where it can be contaminated by bacteria, particularly at the head of the penis. This is why when we ask for a urine sample from our patients, we ask for a mid-stream urine to help avoid collecting this contaminated pee. But then, looking at the injury that Sikorsky inflicts, it's much like what Doyle did earlier in slashing the carotid arteries, so I'd have to say, rest in peace.
完全に決まった裸締めは絶対に逃げられない。瞬発力っていうのは生来のものとは聞いていますが、神様っていうのはすごいプレゼントをしてしまうものですわ。
Okay, and this is probably one of the best fights in the whole Baki series. In fact, it probably needs a whole video just to break down all the injuries that we see here. But what Hanayama's done here to Speck is he's torn both the flexor and extensor muscles in his forearm. Now, these muscles are involved in your grip, and it's smart because in tearing these, it will help to loosen the grip Speck has over Hanayama, releasing him from that neck choke.
外れの握力に物を言わせて人間の腕を挟み潰すなんてね、わざとは読めんでしょう。悪撃って言われてるんですって。後で聞いたんですけど。
Wow, I mean, Hanayama is a badass in this series. But what I like about this scene is you can see the underlying anatomy exposed. You can see the radius, the ulna, and the humerus. Now, with Hanayama ripping out this piece of flesh from the elbow, you're effectively rendering this joint useless.
耳でしたね。中指でこう根元まで行ってましたよ。脳まで達してたかもしれませんね。
Oh god! I mean, he's literally there giving him the finger. Now, looking at the measurements, your middle finger is approximately 9 centimeters long, and your ear canal is only about 2.5. So I would expect that this finger has gone through his eardrum, ruptured and destroyed your inner ear anatomy, rendering Hanayama permanently deaf. And he may well have also gone through into the brain and given it a little tickle.
しかし、そこまでしても花山の攻撃は止められなかった。喉です。あれは手術してもダメじゃないかな。完全に潰れていたそうですから。
Oh, again, Hanayama. This was quite a gripping fight, no pun intended. But it was almost as though they were trying to one-up each other with the injuries that they could inflict. But what Hanayama's done here is that he's effectively crushed Speck's trachea, otherwise known as your windpipe. So I doubt Speck would be able to breathe, let alone talk. He may well actually need a tracheostomy, which involves placing a tube into the windpipe to allow him to continue to breathe. And back with a cheese wire again, and I would have to say this injury is pretty accurate. Your ear is mainly made out of cartilage and it's attached to the head with connective tissue. I would guess that it would probably cut like a nice bit of cheddar. Oh god! And Orochi has literally obliterated Dorian's anterior chest wall here. Now, one rib fracture alone is painful enough. I can't imagine how painful it would be to damage all of them at once. Now, in real life, where there are multiple rib fractures like this, you can sometimes get something called a flail segment. Now, what this is where you get small islands of unattached ribs moving when you're breathing. Now, these often don't heal well and is an indication for performing surgery on rib fractures. But in the case of Dorian here, where all of his ribs have been obliterated, I don't really know what they could offer. I mean, some form of prosthetic chest wall? Oh crap, okay. Those kneecaps are definitely done. He's effectively obliterated both of those knee joints. If Dorian wants to walk again, he's likely going to need bilateral total knee replacements, but for now, a pair of crutches might do. Oh gosh, an explosion to the face, which has effectively turned Orochi into one of the giant titans from Attack on Titan. But it's interesting how they paid attention to the facial muscular anatomy, which looks pretty accurate here. I mean, effectively, Orochi's going to need a face transplant to look anywhere near normal. Oh, and a kick to the gonads. And it's painful enough just to watch. But I don't know what it is about this anime. Sikorsky seems to get kicked in the testicles constantly. Anyway, in this injury, he's likely to have ruptured either one or both of his testicles, which means no Sikorsky Juniors anytime soon. Oh god, you know, Doyle, this man, he has no standards when it comes to loyally defeating his opponent. Unfortunately, our narrator goes into the science behind how a dust explosion works. Basically, it's got to do with the transmission of kinetic energy between flammable particles that leads to the explosion. By the way, don't try this at home. Oh gosh, that looks bad. It reminds me of getting a Chinese burn from my brothers and sisters. But the way they're able to carve off pieces of flesh like this kind of reminds me of Hanayama's vice grip. Now, these look like quite large areas where the flesh has been torn off, which makes me think that they may well need a skin graft to help repair them. Now, a skin graft involves taking a piece of skin from somewhere else in the body, commonly it's taken from the thigh, and then relocating it to the area where it's required. Now, I know some of you at home are quite squeamish, so I won't put it on screen, but I'll leave a link down below for a video if you are interested to see more. Oh, okay, so what we're seeing here is Doyle's effectively riddled blind by Yanagi's punch, and I'm not sure whether he's using his vacuum punch to do this. But to render someone blind in this way, you've either got to do one of two things. You've either got to cause a retinal detachment, or you've got to cause a dislocation of the lens in the eye. Now, both of these are potentially repairable if you're able to get to an eye surgeon urgently. However, Yanagi doesn't seem to be the type of guy to give a helping hand, and it looks like Doyle is busy hanging around. Oh, okay, and our final injury in this video is none other than Yujiro Hanma himself, who's able to, with one punch, rupture and distort Yanagi's facial anatomy beyond recognition. Now, a punch to the jaw in this way can definitely lead to a mandibular fracture, which would make it incredibly difficult for Yanagi to close his mouth. Now, if we take a closer look at this injury before Yanagi goes down, we can see that he likely has a maxillary fracture as well. Now, repairable surgery is possible, but if Yanagi survives this, he's likely to be drinking through a straw for a while. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I tried to include as many different fight injuries as I could find in the BAKI series. If there are any other fight scenes that you'd like me to break down, please do leave those down in the comments below. Over the next few weeks, I'm looking to do a few more fight scene breakdowns of other animes such as Hunter x Hunter, Hajime no Ippo and Demon Slayer. If you have any fight suggestions, leave those down in the comments below. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you all soon. As always, thanks for watching.